And we should be live and ready to go. We're just waiting on the waiting time to end before we head out for qualifying for this not necessarily special race, but it is in a way a bit different than we had over the past couple of weeks, being the fact that it is a 100-minute race instead of the usual 60, so nearly twice the length, but it will be a good one. If it is as good as last week, it will surely be very, very nice. So let's quickly take a look. Two drivers still out on track, Maurer and Fitzpatrick. And there we go, it's time for the qualifier. And it is a busy end of the pit lane. Everybody really eager to get going. And the first one out of the pit lane is Ditswell in the Ferrari, followed by two Porsches by Morrow and Cabras. So, like I said, this race is a 100-minute race, not the usual 1 hour. So there's still a lot up for grabs. It is the penultimate round of the season, with the next race should have been the third race, but due to server issues and whatnot, it was pushed back towards the end of the season. So we are now almost in the finale, but not quite. Still got Valencia up next week. Hopefully everything is all clear coming through to your side. We should be gearing up for an interesting evening. So Ditswell we'll start the first flying lap. So around the circuit we have a couple of notable corners. This first sector being like overall one notable thing about Suzuka, the really tight and twisty, well, maybe not as tight, but certainly very twisty. The S's turns 3 up to 7. And then we get to the 2 Dagna curves, Dagna 1 and Dagna 2, which requires a little bit more braking to then go up towards the hairpin. It is the slowest corner around the track, barely 60 kilometers an hour, or just over 30 miles an hour. Then we get into Spoon Curve, turns 13 and 14, double apex corner. And then it's up and through the gears on the back straight, up towards probably the most famous corner around this entire track, being 130R. Might be fully flat. Oh, small dip on the brakes for Titswell. Just trying to get in a clean lap. Then you have the Casio triangle at the end. Be careful on exit as you can spin out easily there. Up towards the line. It's a bit further down the straight. There we go. And it will be a 2 minute 1.3. Which is not yet beaten. Mora did do a quicker lap time, but it was invalid, so it still Titswell currently on provisional pole position, as they've now been replaced by Weatherston by 0.8 of a second. Caraballo now coming up to the line as well. Posting a 2 minute 3.7. Zangari with a nice and helpful slipstream from the back of Fitzpatrick. Puts down a 2 minute 2.1. 1.1 seconds quicker than Fitzpatrick in front of him. The next Porsche to cross the start finish line to end the first lap will be Warrior. Who is now on the main straight coming across the line, and it will be a 2 minute 2.5, putting them P10 as of now. Mora and Cabras. Moro trying to set a lap time that is valid. Currently it is, and nearly 0.8 quicker, but he goes wide on the exit of 130R. That's another invalidated lap time. Cabras still has a valid lap time and is up half a second on the previous lap, losing a little bit of time through the second phase of the Casio triangle, but still 0.4 up as they cross the start finish line to lay down a 2 minute 0.9, putting them P3 as of now. Vrijvogel in another Porsche, 0.2 up or 1.5 up, losing a little bit of time on the exit. It will be an improvement down to a 2 minute 1.1. Scanlon did improve by 0.3, but was invalidated somewhere around the lap, so it will not count. Then we have Oliver also with an invalidated lap time, not a time on the board yet for them. As I believe it was Jordanov who returned back to the garage out of Spoon Curve. Currently it is BX Royal on pole position, or provisional pole position I should say, with a 2 minutes 0.1. I think we will definitely see the times tumble and going below the 2 minute mark. It is an invalidated lap time from BX Royal, but up and towards the final set of corners, they were tied on their previous best lap time. So the pace is definitely there for them. Wetterson now coming into the Casio triangle. 4/10 up on their personal best lap time, cutting the first chicane very nicely. Second chicane as well, 2/10 gaining through that chicane. Taking a shorter run up the line, losing a little bit of time on the exit. But still will be a big improvement, which puts them into provisional pole position with a 2-minute 0.037. Just above that 2-minute mark for them. And just for comparison, Hamelund currently sits in 4th place with a 2-minute 0.9. So 9/10 between P1 and P4 as of now. Quite a big gap. Let's see if Hamelund can notch that gap down. 2/10 up coming out of the first sector. Into the hairpin. Always a bit of tricky corner, especially on exit. Hamelund gets some good rotation mid-corner, loses then that advantage a bit on the exit. Still up by 0.2 of a second as they make their way to Spoon Curve. Corner that just doesn't stop, just keep on turning. Double apex, and Hamelund has lost 0.2 there. Not the best Spoon Curve you've ever seen. Still time to make up, as it was a big lift and a gear shift down through 130R. Gaining back a little bit of time through the Casio triangle. Bit of stuttering from some latency issues. 1/10 up as they cross the line. And it will be an improvement down to a 2-minute 0.8. And I think we have just had a disconnection from Hamelund. So that might explain the jittering. And we have more people actually dropping out. I think the server is about to go down. Because we're now down to 15. We have lost 9 cars. They are coming back now by the looks of it. So some issues there for a couple of the drivers making their way back in. I believe we still missing 2 drivers. So let's take a quick look to see what the standings currently are. It is BX Royal with still a 2-minute 0.1 currently on provisional pole position. Then it is Gertz in second place with Morrow in third. Then Scanlon in fourth place, just ahead of Hamelin in fifth. Then Popov just ahead of Cabras, who's just ahead of Titswell, making P6, 7 and 8. P9 for Freivogel and P10 for Paris. Still Fitzpatrick and Bayliss yet to set a lap time. So still things to play for. 6 more minutes left to go. Just over 6 minutes actually. So anyone starting a lap now will get in 3 flying laps. Maybe even 4 if they are quick enough. Freivogel there having maybe a little bit of a distraction in the first corner with someone on the exit being Morrow on the exit of the pit lane. Doesn't really seem to have bothered Freivogel all that much, being 2 tenths up through the first corner. Losing a little bit of that time gain through the first corner at the end of the sector, and invalidating there through the first Dagner curve. BX Royal has now, ooh, yes, they go very wide, cutting a bit too sharply into 130R. But BX Royal has been displaced now by Weatherston. Weatherston with a 2 minute 0.037. I believe we covered that already. I will excuse myself in advance. Didn't get a lot of sleep, so might be a bit tired, but we'll just stick in there, see what happens. No one really going green as of yet. Freivogel and Morrow, 2 Porsches just behind one another, both starting a new flying lap. And Freivogel already up by 3 tenths. Through the first opening sequence of corners. This time making sure not to invalidate on Dagner 1. As we go on board with helmet cam. Bit shallow on the entry of the hairpin. Then power it out. Porsche exceptionally good at getting out of a corner quickly. And the acceleration zone really. Nearly half a second up as they make their way to Spoon Curve. Don't run it too wide. Need to really want to get a good exit out of here. Bit hesitant on the power, but still better than their previous lap time. Improvement of 6 tenths. Make that 7 tenths as they make their way through 130R now. Will be a quick dab on the brakes. Nice and easy through there. Still 6 tenths up. Losing a little bit of time through 130R. Doesn't really matter. A little bit of time lost again. But then power it through towards the start finish line. It will be a 5.5 tenth improvement. Down to a 2 minute 0.8. Which puts them in P7. Morrow behind. doing a 2 minutes 0.4. 2 minutes left on the clock. That means that the final laps will start now. For instance, Fitzpatrick still yet to set a valid lap time. This is the final shot to make it count. As there we have Oliver, who had a little oopsie daisy out of the Dagna 2 corner. Titswell up by 0.6 of a second, losing a little bit of time through the Casio triangle. But still 0.6 is a big improvement. We'll go down to a 2 minutes 0.4 or 2 minutes 0.8, sorry. 2 minutes 0.8, putting them P7. Caraballo also on an improvement. 0.4 up, approaching Spoon Curve. Getting a nice exit, don't run out too wide, that will invalidate your lap time. 0.4 up on the back straight. Ooh, and that was a little bit too much curb on the apex. And they pull over to the side of the road to not be of any disturbance to the cars behind. Sangari marginally up with only 2 real corners yet to manage. First of which being 130R, no time gain through there, maybe on the brakes into the Casio triangle, gaining 0.2 of a second actually, a bit more than I would expect them to gain. But it was all lost really on the exit and will not be an improvement for them. As in the background we saw Cabras, I believe, pull over to the side of the road. Now Freivogel up by 0.5 of a second, currently sitting nicely in P10. But then losing again on the exit of Spoon Curve. Still 0.3 up. It's still better than nothing up. Getting a lot of time through the Casio triangle, it seemed like. But then still dropping a little bit of time. Now on across the start finish line, it will be a 2 minutes 0.4. Just ahead of Morrow behind. Also 2 minute 0.4, but a couple of hundreds slower. Porsches parking up besides one another. As we have no drivers left to make it across start finish line. And it is good with a stunning lap time of a 1:59.5, taking pole position ahead of this 100 minutes of Suzuka. Alongside will be BX Royal. Then second row will be for Wedderson and Freivogel. Third row for the 2 Porsches of Morrow and Cabras. Then Scanlon Zangari with Titswell and Hamelund making up the top 10. Popov, Paris, Turney, Winters and Van Eyck will make up top 15, with Oliver, Warrior, Dandies, Bayliss and Fitzpatrick making up the top 20. Venter, Caraballo, Maurer, O'Leary, Jordanov will make up the top 25 with Thorn, Glynn, Asen and Overtaker not setting a lap time. 2.5 minutes before we start the formation lap. So go quickly to the toilet, grab some snacks, grab some drinks if you need to. As I will also make use of this moment to get some more light in the room. Otherwise I will look or feel like a mushroom. Just in the dark. Although I despise mushrooms, but we won't go into that discussion now. Do I have some snacks with me? I think I still have some. Let me see. I've got a banana. So that's at least something. Also got some biscuits. Nice. So I'm well equipped for these 100 minutes.
Seconds.
30 seconds.
20 seconds.
20 seconds, alright. Keep calm. I will jump in to spectate everyone. There we go. There we have Kurtz. And again, I'm not quite sure what race it was, but again, it is a Ford on pole position with the 2 Lexus behind, and then 2 Porsches behind, making up an interesting top 5. That was some swerve by Morrow. That's what we call aggressive warm-up strategies. So all the cars will make their way around. Overtaker a little bit slow to get off the grid box, but getting going now. So hopefully we won't see any incidents or issues, I should say, in terms of server issues. As we want just a smooth ride to the finish. You can just see how long it takes. Only the first sector being completed now. It is a longer lap here at Suzuka. Already sensed by the times it takes to complete a lap time. The overall length of the circuit is 5.8 kilometers or 3.6 miles with 18 turns in a clockwise configuration. Although clockwise isn't really clockwise, it's more of a figure of 8. One of the few circuits on the globe that have a figure of 8 and also be used as much as Suzuka is being used. The circuit itself was opened in 1962. So got a lot of history around this circuit. Infamous moments being Prost versus Senna here, which ultimately led to some controversy, which crowned Prost the winner of the... Ooh, I really need to think about this one. I was going to say 1998, possibly, championship in Formula 1. Anyway, this circuit always delivers, as all the cars are lining up side by side in formation, ready to slingshot it across the start finish line and make for a great racing sequence. Opening sector might become messy with some incidents here and there. Let's hope to see everyone go there cleanly, or with not any major incidents. There we go, the big snake of cars lining up on the start finish line, creeping up to the start line as we await the green light. And it's go, go, go! Green light, and we are off. And it is Guts on the inside, trying to defend from BX Royal. But BX Royal sweeping around the outside in the Lexus. Guts still trying to hang on the inside of the corner, not really going to work out. In the background, no incidents to be mentioned, as Guts is already trying to recoup that lost position. For the background, it is 2 wide, maybe even 3 wide, as they make their way through the S's, the opening sector of the lap. Still side by side, that is Hammerlund with some other cars. I couldn't quite catch who was where at the moment. But now it is returned to single file, as in the background there we have a Porsche being attacked by a McLaren. Is now into the hairpin, will become a little bit congested, but it will all work out nicely. Everyone still very much in a fight with one another. Cameras going a little bit wide. That's also one thing you need to look out for. Track limits, as this race being nearly twice the length. Track limits will become more and more of a factor, as you don't want to get a drive-through penalty, as this pit lane being reasonably long will give you quite some lost time. In the background, still car scrapping, as that is a late move from Winters, getting up the inside of Paris and making a very nice move, as in the background we have a yellow flag with I believe Bayliss being stuck there on the apex of the second chicane. We'll try to take a look at what happened there in just a moment's time, as we have cycled all the way back to the front with Kurtz and BX Royal already a little bit pulling a gap to Weatherston behind. If this is a thing for the remainder of the race with this top two fighting, I cannot wait to see the end result. Still, Weatherston not being dropped entirely. still hanging on quite nicely, as then the rest of the pack is following suit. Real overtaking opportunities around this circuit, they are there, but you really have to get a great overspeed. Ooh, as is a bit of a slide already for BX Royal. The circuit is really harsh on the tires, especially in the opening sector, and then letting them cool down again on the back straight and the main straight. So a lot of heat cycles for those tires. We'll see if people change the tires in the pit stops. I would imagine so. I think the advantage of the fresher tires will definitely overcome any time lost in the pit lane. Good, now with the fast lap of a race, a 2 minutes 0.5. So these guys up front are nearly doing qualifying pace already, with possibly higher fuel loads, but just being driven by pure force and excitement. And there we have overtaking Mr. Warrior. As in front we have Van Eyck and Oliver scrapping it out over 15th place. They have switched because I believe that Van Eyck was ahead of Oliver at the start of the race. That Mercedes dropping down a position. Everything else still looking very nicely. Everyone following each other very closely. No big incidents to tell as of yet. As this race is more about strategy possibly than anything else, especially for the front two. Only 2 tenths between them, with Weatherston a somewhat comfortable gap behind at 1.5 seconds. As there in the background, I think it was Popov getting a quite a wide run out of the final corner. And I believe Winters has also made a mistake. They were ahead of Paris in the Bentley, I should say, not BMW, Bentley. At the end of the first lap, making that descent into the Casa Triangle, but have since lost out on that position. And now Paris is setting lots of pressure on the Ford ahead of him, being Hammerlund. Was eking a little bit for a possible move up the inside into the hairpin. Not really gonna work out there. You have to be closer than that to make it work. As the Bentley does gain a lot on the brakes. Making it difficult for Hammerlund to get some air in between his car and the car behind. top 3 have already kind of checked out, I think, especially the top 2, doing 2-minute zeros, whilst everyone behind them is going at least a second slower. So who in this top 3 will reign victorious? As of now, it is simply no way to tell. Anything can happen. An incident, strategic mishap, just pure pace as well. Anything can happen with these 3. Let's just hope for a great battle. That looked a little bit wide from BX Royal. Could be already a track limits violation. As Kurtz is eking ever so much closer to the back of that Lexus. Look at how much they gain on the brakes. It's also a thing to really nurse these brakes till the end of the race. Or did cars possibly go with the more endurance-like brakes, which have less performance but way better lifespan? Oh, as that is deep already from BX Royal. Kurtz trying to do a cutback maneuver. They're really close. 1/10, less than a tenth between the two of them. Kurtz nearly pushing BX Royal down the straight. Will there be a move to the inside? There will. The Ford pulls out. And BX Royal goes wide on the entry or mid corner of turn number 1. And it is the Ford up to P1. 5 laps or 4 laps after losing it. On lap 5 they have managed to get back their starting position. Wilson still somewhat close behind and just over a second behind BX Royal. Setting a personal best lap time last time round of a 2 minutes 0.667, which was more than a second quicker than Freivogel behind in the Porsche. As we have Bayliss off and in the gravel trap. What has happened there? Oh, and there's big damage there. Big damage and even more damage there. And they get towed back to the pit lane. Let's quickly see what happened there. As I think they actually retired from this race altogether. So they seemingly lost it already going into turn number 1, making a very nice drift, nearly holding it, but in doing so probably cooking up the tires as well. And through the S's, then probably around here. Will that be a back end loss? And it will. And that's a hard hit into the barrier. That would definitely be a lot of steering damage. And I think that was the end for that McLaren car. as they have retired from this race, no longer around the circuit or in the pit lane. As we have another yellow flag, which belongs to Venter. Venter has made a small whoopsie throughout the first sector, picking up some damage seemingly to the front of their car. That's definitely not factory new. So you can see the cars passing on top. That is where the loop crosses over. And there's still a very much a little train from P4 downwards. Freivogel breaking away slightly with Carbos now on the attack. Not quite close enough or brave enough to send a move up the inside of Freivogel, as Moro has broken away, I was supposed to say. You can just hear the tires screaming for mercy. As those first S's are quite harsh on the tires. Little bump from Cabras, unsettling the car a little bit. But nothing major. Manages to catch it quite well. Dandy's needing to go defensive from Thorn in the Porsche behind. They will only invite Ace and more in the battle for P19. As in front we have Oliver there going wide through Spoon, losing out to a position to Warrior and getting so much closer to the front of Dandy's car. So there was quite a bit of understeer there for Thorn, going through 130R. Bouncing over the curbs. Oh, and they have tagged Dandy's around. They have tagged them around. And I am sure that they will, yes they do, wait up for Dandy's, as that was definitely on them. Dandy's seemingly not happy with that, cutting across very aggressively over Thorn. And now Caraballo might even nab another place from at least the Porsche, maybe also the Ferrari up ahead. Not quite close enough for that now. But yeah, that was a bit of a silly move there from Thorn. Getting a great run out of Casino Triangle, as we have an incident, and I believe, oh, that's Andy Winters. Winters has spun round and it has managed to get out of the way and is now going again. If I can bloody find his car, that would be great. There we go. Finally found the blue Mustang. So let's try and see if we can quickly get a replay up to see what happened exactly with Winters there. So, oh, going a bit too wide. And then just spinning out. Does manage nicely to not get back on track. Ooh, I say that. They do roll quite a bit. Oh, and that was very hairy moment. That was a very hairy moment. And then Moore gets through on the Porsche. Ooh, that was a close one for Winters. And then, ooh, with the tires being very hot, everyone behind getting checked up. And then making their way through again. So that's what happened to car number 7. As they have fallen down to 24th place. Top 3 still as they were. Still ever so quick. Oh, it's in the background. Weatherson going maybe a little bit too wide. Out of 130R. As it seems to me that things have calmed down a little bit. Still with this race, a mandatory tire change or mandatory stop is needed. Not necessarily change of tires, but you do need to refuel. As it is heating up here for P7 with Titswell, Sangari, Scanlon and Hammerlund all within a very close fight with one another. And Paris maybe behind as well, can maybe fancy an instant ahead. Scanlon feeling the need to go defensive on Hammerlund. Look at how much Hammerlund is gaining on the straights on Scanlon. Maybe for Scanlon in a little bit of a mistake. A slide out of Spoon Corner will reduce the straight line speed on the back straight. I was gonna say not a move into 130R. That would be mad stuff. Although, props if you can pull it off. Then immediately back on the hunt. 3/10 the gap between the Aston Martin and the Ford. As there won't be a move into turn number 1. It is the primary overtaking spot, turn number 1. Can get a good run. Even out of 130R and then through the chicane at the end of the lap. Then you can set yourself up very, very nicely for a possible move. Usually up the inside into turn number 1. Great camera work there. Finally found the BMW of Maurer. Caraballo with seemingly a little bit of damage to the rear of their car. There you can see it quite nicely. Those scrapes aren't from the livery. There's definitely been some contact with some object, whether that be a car or another car I should say, or a stationary barrier. That is a question that will remain unanswered. Sungari and Titwell now breaking away from the Aston Martin behind, as Hammerlund has lost out on a place. With Paris now being stuck between the Aston Martin and the Ford. That Bentley getting a little bit of a slide out of Dagna 2. Luckily hold it together, as the top two is now also separating a little bit, with Gertz now nearly 2.5 seconds ahead of BX Royal, who is in turn 3 seconds ahead of Weatherston behind. So now we have been underway for nearly half an hour and we still have over an hour left to run. So let's take a quick look at the standings, shall we? So currently in gold class, so gold class being the cars with this silver number, not this one, but all these silvers. Currently it is Weatherston in P1, current championship leader, closely followed by BX Royal by 14 points. And then it is Morrow who is in P3, quite a ways behind. Next up on the list is Paris, who is currently down in P10, with Winters, who is even further down in P22, in P5 in the standings, and then we have Gertz, who is in P6 in the standings. So Morrow, Paris, Winters and Gertz are only separated by 12 points. Even more, Cabras, who's currently in P6, is 7th in the standings, with a gap of less than 20 points to P3. So it's all to play for. And remember, this is not the final round. It was scheduled to be the final round, but next week we have another race around Valencia, or Valencia as they call it in Spain. So that's your championship standings for the gold category. Then we move over to the silver category, which is, as you might have guessed it, these number boards, the silver ones. Currently leading the championship is Oliver here who is needing to defend from Asen behind in the Porsche, who going a bit wide at Spoon corner. We're gonna quickly keep our eyes on this battle, as we still need to produce some content here. That Porsche being very close to the back of the Aston Martin. As Asen not quite close enough to go for a dive bomb. Getting it stopped nice and easy for the Casio Triangle. But a bit of a slide from the Aston Martin out of the acceleration zone. On to the next lap they go. And now the Porsche is getting really close. Will there be a cent? Not quite. Asen sticks behind Oliver for now. We'll come back to this battle in just a moment's time. So it is Oliver currently leading this championship, with Turney being in second place. Although over 30 points behind, so Oliver is looking quite good. Then it is O'Leary in second place, with Moorer in fourth and Fitzpatrick in fifth place. But also very closely contested is P2 up till P5. So 4 cars within 13 points of one another. And then further down we also have P6 to P8, which are only separated by 2 points. So let's quickly take a look at these two. Still very much closely together. Oh, and before you ask, those red numbers, those are for the reserves. So still get a chance to race, albeit not really for the championship. So that is the championship standings as of now. As we now will resume live pictures. That was maybe not a great moment to do that. If I can find them. There they are. Still Asen behind Oliver. We're trying ever so great, trying to pick a way through. Oh, and that's quite a slide from Asen. Out of Dagna 2. So usually almost everyone would have pitted by now, as it is usually a 60-minute race and we have raced for over 30 minutes, so then the logical thing to do is to pit at the half-hour mark. Asen still very close to the back of Oliver. Oliver going semi-defensive into the chicane. Not really utilizing all of the track width. And now Thorn is there as well, coming to join the party. 2 Porsches against 1 Aston Martin. this could become spicy very, very quickly. Which could also become spicy really, really quickly is this battle with Paris and Hammerland there in the background. Paris having a quick off-road excursion. As there's a yellow flag up ahead, that's the 501, which belongs to Jordanov. As they have pulled over to the side of the road. Letting the leaders past. And to not cause any disturbance to them. I think they have actually had a quite a big shunt. Given the big damage to the front of the car. They've stopped now. Trying to get going again. There are some cars approaching. Being Oliver and Thorn, I think. Oliver and Asen. Ooh, as it is very close now. Asen up the inside. Into turn number 1. Doesn't quite have the overspeed. The Aston Martin brakes later. Horse trying to cut back up the inside. Really, really close to the back of the Aston Martin. It is really all to play for now. No one is backing down out of this fight. As you can just see how much the Porsche is starting to feel held up. And Thorn is now also trying to get in that fight. Maybe pick up some scraps from the two cars ahead if they manage to get together. So far, it has been really respectful. No issues. Nothing really out of the ordinary. As there is a bit of contact between the Porsche of Asen and Oliver in the Aston Martin. Oh, as everyone goes wide and it's all kicking off now. And in the end, I think it is Asen with a little bit of damage, or a little bit more than just a little bit by the looks of it. But ahead of Oliver in the Aston Martin, and now we might see Thorn doing the same thing. Thorn there wanting to switch to the inside line, was blocked up nicely by Oliver, as we have a first pitter by the name of Maurer. Now coming out of pit lane. Oh, and Oliver has gone wide out of turn number 1, and that is just given the left the door straight open for Thorn to go through. Now behind is also Dandes, who has caught up and will try to pick off Oliver as the next car waiting in line to do so. Turney and Van Eyck have been going at it for quite a long time now. Lap after lap after lap they've been separated by not a lot. And Turney, being a silver driver, would really like to stay ahead of the gold driver. Although that is a little bit of time lost there from the Aston Martin. And the Mercedes being behind, as we have a yellow flag. And that is Popov. Popov has crashed by the looks of it. Was it a crash or only a spin? Cannot see any real damage. Also not pulling into the pit lane, so seemingly alright to continue on. Wetterson now has really fallen away from the top two. Maybe the tires are starting to go off. As PX Royal, on the other hand, has caught back up 2 Kurtz. Catching up by over a second now, over the last couple of laps. As we only have 1 hour left to run in this race. We're nearly at the halfway stage, only 10 minutes left to go. And then we will probably see some pit stops take place. And now it is a strategic fight. As Oliver is now in the pit lane. Maybe already going for an undercut. It's early. It's doable. But it is a little bit early, I would think. Although you cannot blame a man for trying. Now the leaders will catch up to some lap traffic as we have another yellow flag in the opening sector. And that will be Oliver actually, who had just come out of the pit lane. And seemingly already binned it on their outlap. And possibly with some damage to the front of their car. Doesn't look all too nicely. Maybe the tires just needed a little bit of firing up. As Winters is now also in pit lane. And was it a wide moment from PX Royal out of the final corner? It sure looked like it. The gap has grown by another second. Kurtz now might get a little bit stuck behind the lap car, as to say that. Fitzpatrick gets out of the way. That is Kurtz now unleashed. As for PX Royal, Also nicely done, as it should be done. As that is Scanlon behind. Wetterson, I should say, sorry. Having a very wide moment through the hairpin. Not sure what that was about, maybe just outbroke themselves a little bit. 2.5 seconds down on their personal best lap time. You don't really want to see that, not at least this early on in the race, or early. I say early on in this race, we have driven for 3/4 of an hour. It's not like it's just begun, but certainly has begun. Winters now with blue flags from Scanlon behind. As they go quite wide out of 130R, but then getting off the throttle to let Scanlon pass, and now it is Hamilton behind in the other fourth. Freivogel now in the pit lane. I believe that's the first one of the top 10, and it is. So Freivogel being in P6, I believe, when they went into the pit lane. Let's see where they come out. As there finally the overtake from Van Eyck. Turney making a mistake in the chicane. That gave Van Eyck the run that he needed to finally get past the Aston Martin. Next up on his list is Oliver ahead, but they are a lap behind. Of course, Oliver and Van Eyck being alongside each other at the start of the race. And now one is almost a full lap ahead of the other one. Venter having blue flags for the Bentley behind. As now they get out of the way and let Paris through. As we have more people in the pit lane, quite a lot of people. One of them being the leader of the race, Kurtz and BX Royal have pulled it into the pit lane. Titswell and Zangari followed as well. But that means that now it is Wetterson who is our race leader. As there goes Kurtz again. I think that was a bit too quick to not have a tire change. The Lexus comes out as well. Or it might have been a tire change. I am not 100% certain. Dandy's in Freivogel now, side by side. Dandy's with not a great exit. And Freivogel just sails by, of course, after having made that pit stop. Fresh tires, but gets a little bit squirrely on the brakes into turn number 1. As it is now Morrow just 2 seconds behind the leader, being Weatherston. Both still needing to make their pit stop. Are they going to come in this lap? The Porsche of Morrow is, but I don't think Weatherston. Ooh, and that must have been speeding in the pit lane for Morrow. They were way too late on the brakes there. So now Cabras also staying out. Trying to extend the time a little bit. Of course you do get caught up in some lap traffic if you pit right now. Scanlon and Hamilton now finding themselves in the top 5 with Overtaker just behind being in 5th place. And then we have Winters in between being a lapped car. But all still needing to make the pit stop. 29 tenths quicker than Van Eyck on that last lap. Gap to 0.7 seconds. After that overtake last lap. And indeed Morrow has received a 30-second stop and go penalty, which will really throw a spanner into the works. As we see O'Leary here and Caraballo duking it out for 18th position. As they are both going into the pit lane. And this will be a close one between the two of them. Asen and Warrior are also in for their stops. Pit lane being very busy at this point in time. O'Leary, Caraballo now in their pit stall. As Warrior makes their way out now. Filtering just behind Popov. Or just ahead of Popov, but just behind Fitzpatrick. As Asen is also now coming out. And there the BMW of O'Leary already out of the pit lane. But Caraballo just stays there. And only now coming out of said pit lane. So O'Leary gaining a couple of seconds on Caraballo in the pit lane. Around 8 seconds. Was that a tire change then for the Ferrari? I think it must have been, or maybe quite a lot of damage to have repairing. Morrow there with the stop go penalty. 2 laps remaining to serve that. Cannot wait till the end of the race. Because that was the out lap. They're possibly going to try and wait for the last moment to serve the penalty. Cabras being now 6 seconds behind Morrow. Will definitely gain the time back. Where Morrow does need to go into the pit lane. It's nearly race over then. For Morrow. Still, it's longer race, so these mistakes are more easily forgiven. And it's a 3-way fight now, 3 abreast down the main straight between Warrior, Fitzpatrick and Popov. And it will be Popov in the Lexus who comes out ahead, with Warrior having just come out of the pit lane, overtaking Fitzpatrick around the outside. That was a nice shot, 3 abreast down the main straight. You don't see that too often, especially not when it is all full position. Weatherston and Overtaker now in the pit lane. And that means that we have a new race leader by the name of Hammerlund. Of course, Hamilton not being as high up in the championship as they might have wanted, currently setting in P11, but they do have a podium on or against their name, and also a top 5 finish, so maybe they will make something out of this one, trying to stay out maybe a couple of more laps. Who knows how long they will stick it out for. As now Moro is in the pit lane to serve the penalty, as Gert now hunting down Turney. It is for position, but Turney still needs to make a pit stop, or their mandatory pit stop. And Gert is trying to aim to lose as little time as possible, trying to get past Turney. Turney is in all their right to defend the position as hard as possible. Although, at the end of the day, you need to be sure that you don't cost yourself too much time in the process. As there we see, car number 1 stop go has been cleared now, and that is for the Porsche of Moro. Turney there not really letting Gertz past. Bo's now losing a little bit of time, as now Turney does let Gertz pass, so probably in Turney's interest to not be really spooked by a big fault in your rear view mirrors. Turney actually, oh, Van Eyck needs to keep it on the road. I was gonna say Turney has a lot of time, or actually has not lost a lot of time because they haven't pitted yet. That's my little mistake. Turney still needs to pit, and I believe they have done so, or are doing so right now. So that will bring the gap down again. And Van Eyck is hoping to stay ahead then of the Aston Martin. It's actually not Turney who's in the pit lane, it is Thorn. Both start with a T. See the similarity? Maybe not. Either way, when Turney does pit, it is a question on where they will come out relative to Van Eyck. Van Eyck having worked quite hard to get past the Aston Martin, and should be hoping for the fact that they will keep that position after the pit stop have rolled out. As now Turney does come into the pit lane to serve their stop, and they might have been the last one to do so. Oh no, actually not. Our race leader currently, Hamilton, is also still yet to make their pit stop. Interesting strategy they have went for. Maybe trying to stay out as long as possible, then just a quick splash and dash to the finish line. Will be very difficult on the tires, especially with that Mustang. The Mustang eating through the tires like it is absolutely nothing. everyone down from P19, being Winters, has been lapped. Although when Hamilton does pits, it will be down to from P22. And still with 40 minutes remaining, I have a feeling that might increase. How much? I'm not sure. But we will see what will happen. Hamilton still not deciding to pit. Although I have a very strong feeling that they will pit next lap. So let's see what are some of the battles on track. Great camera work again. That guy definitely needs to get some proper training on how to operate a camera. Cannot be that difficult, can it? Good, getting past O'Leary, who was moving away from 4 yellow flags. Now the gap behind for the effective P2 car being PX Royal is 4.3 seconds. Here we have a battle. Overtaker versus Scanlon versus Zangari. Battle for P7 currently. Gaps to a second or closer. As there is a lap car in front by name of Moorer, who pulls off to the right hand side and lets all three of them go. Not being any issue to a potential fight for position. A very good line through the hairpin for Overtaker, gaining a couple of tenths on Scanlon, as now our leader is in the pit lane for their mandatory pit stop. That Mustang seemingly having a little bit more straight line speed than the Aston Martin. As Sankari in the background having an awful time through 130R. As Scanlon getting a bit cross on the exit or entry actually to the Casio Triangle, might leave them vulnerable on the main straight. As we start lap number 30, will there be a move down the inside? Not quite. As there Hamilton comes out of the pit lane just behind Zangari. But ahead of Titswell, still Overtaker trying to get a nose in. Trying to get closer to the back of that Aston Martin. As Van Eyck has a little bit of a slide, but more importantly, has fallen behind Turney now. 1.5 seconds was not the gap. Even more so, Van Eyck was ahead when they went into the pit lane for their mandatory pit stop. So Turney finding some time in clear air, or Van Eyck being held up somewhat in the outlaps, meaning that Van Eyck is now behind Turney again. Zangari again going a bit deep, and up ahead that is the battle that we were waiting for between Scanlon and Overtaker. It is side by side alongside or on the main straight, as Overtaker has the inside line and Scanlon lifts off the throttle and doesn't really fight the position all too hard. Maybe they can work together to get away from Zangari and Hammerlund and Titswell behind. As especially Hammerlund on what I would assume fresh tires might be a threat for the remainder of the race. Van Eyck managing to gain a couple of tenths on Turney throughout the last lap. BX Royal now lapping down this on the main straight, losing little to no time. Also for Dandies, also nice to just get off the throttle there, as they also won't really lose out on any time. As we go on board with Hammerlund being almost 2 seconds faster than Zangari on the last lap, will be only a matter of time before the Ford tries to pass the Ferrari. It will be Ford versus Ferrari all over again, but then in a new era of motor racing. Also not really the same circuit and not really the same category of cars, but they will be the same brand, so you'll get it. Only half an hour left to go in this race. We are at 1/3 of the race, or 1/3 of the race remaining, I should say, not 1/3 of the race. That will be a bit of a short race actually. Double yellow, double yellow. As that's Oliver facing the barrier, or facing the wrong way actually, being perpendicular to the barrier. Now it starts to get going again, but probably dropped it halfway through Spoon, which you can easily do, get onto the curb, and then you just lose the car. Half look by Hammerlund for a possible inside move from Zangari. Still not quite the inroads as I was expecting them to make on Zangari. Now a move down the inside, not quite. The opportunity was there, but wasn't far or close enough actually to really make it stick. Good, still holding that gap of just under 5 seconds to BX Royal. That's a nice gap to stay in. Leaves a little bit of room for any potential mistakes. Although I doubt that there will be any, but still, just in case. Better to be safe than sorry. We have Oliver and Venter in the pit lane. Oliver, after having that spin, maybe now repairing some damage. As Venter is now moving out of the pit lane to resume their race. Look at how close that Mustang is to the back of the Ferrari. Not quite able to send it up the inside into 130R. But Hamilton definitely showed the Ferrari driver like, hey, I'm here. Maybe keep that in mind for next corner and maybe outbrake yourself. And that's also the mental side of things that you see with racing. There's a yellow flag for Jordanov, letting people past, not being in their way. And I've actually missed the move now of Hamilton overtaking Zangari. Zangari going wide at the end of the first sector, giving Hamilton the opportunity to get past and up into P8. It's a Porsche versus a Porsche. It is Warrior versus Thorn for P15 in this race. Warrior having a very good position in terms of the class. Oh, but is that a bit wide from Warrior? Yes, it is, and that Thorn slept through. Up to P16. Warrior trying to fight it back, not quite able to do so. That's good. Oh, I was going to say, Götz is extending the gap to BX Royal, but then having quite a slide out of Spoon and losing a couple of tenths to that advantage still. 5.6 seconds, still a reasonably sized gap. Hamilton already overtaking Scanlon as well. And now needs to fight their way through a 6-second deficit between them and overtaker. This could become spicy as well. Turney against Van Eyck against Morrow. Morrow, of course, with that 30-second stop-go penalty, which you could count for an extra pit stop. On the back of the Mercedes, who is just behind the Aston Martin that he so dearly wants to overtake. After making an overtake in the early phase of the race, then losing out on it again after the pit stops played out. Now being closest as they have been in quite a long time. I believe we did lose out on Moorer, who has retired in the pit lane. Still, we are with 26 runners. Don't be fooled by the number in the top left of your screen. It is saying 27, but that's because I am also counted as a car, which is stupid, but it is the way it is. Oh, and Sunny there going a bit wide out of Degner too. And now Van Eyck will once again slip through and overtake the Aston Martin. And he will be hoping for Morrow to create some disturbance between him and the Aston Martin. Porsche already drawing alongside and forcing the overtake on Turney. That's already over a second worth of gap between the Mercedes and the Aston Martin, but this time there is a Porsche in between. That's right, on board for a bit with Morrow in the number 1 Porsche. Not sure how much longer Van Eyck will keep that Porsche behind, as already you can see. Maybe a bit of a mistake from the Mercedes, but how much the Porsche was gaining through the first Degner corner. Also on the brakes, very nicely. Car 26, a drive-through penalty for, that's Oliver, for track limits. making their day just that little bit more worse. As I believe they are in P24 already, so not really up there with the other guys. Actually, on the last lap, out of the 3 of them, Turney was the quickest. Wasn't by much, but they were the quickest. Will there be an overtake here from Overtaker against Freivogel? Freivogel forces Overtaker to go around the outside, which you're not really going to do at Spoon Curve. Or you need to have Formula 1 style downforce or something like that. Freivogel defending nicely, but then going wide out of 130R. As both of them outbrake themselves. The Porsche going the correct way around, and Overtaker giving back the position as Winters now. Were they stopped on the side of the road or in the pit lane? I'm not so sure. As Oliver has got a stop go 30 seconds after speeding in the pit lane after serving the drive-through. I do believe that it is Winters who is in the pit lane. Probably return to the pit lane. As indeed, going deep into the Casio triangle is indeed one of the easiest ways to ruin a lap or even a full-on race. As Freivogel and Overtaker still very close to one another, but that gap is shrinking ever so slightly now, down to 5 seconds between Hamilton and Overtaker, as they both get past O'Leary without any issues. And again the Porsche going a bit wide. This time, can they make the corner? Yes, they can. And this time, Overtaker will complete it and take a top 5 away from Freivogel. Still 17 minutes left to run, which equates to probably 9 laps, depending on where Kurtz will be when the timer ends. So 8 or 9 laps. That is the remaining distance in this race. As there's Oliver surfing the stop and go 30 seconds. Still, these 3 cars for P12 still very close to one another. Van Eyck, Morrow and Turney all within a second of one another. Porsche looking for a half a move there, really, into turn number 3. You don't really see that too often. That just shows how desperate Morrow is to find a way past. As I'm trying to find them again. There we go. Both the Mercedes and the Porsche may be going a little bit wider than they were anticipating for. Still keeping it pointed in the right direction. And this could become a spicy race for position with this last 15 minutes of the race. They've nearly driven for 1.5 hours already. So fatigue might be starting to kick in as well now, as well as the tires just going off, fuel load getting lighter, so just car in general maybe getting a bit more sketchy. A little bit more gap than the previous lap. Although Van Eyck does go deep into the first apex. That will invite Morrow into a nice little slipstream. But not close enough to send a move into turn number 1. Actually, Morrow going is slightly onto the curb. Not really convenient there, as you do bottom out somewhat and slide out. The gap between the 3 cars less than a second as they make their way into sector number 2. As we have another yellow flag, and I believe that is Oliver again. I think it is it. I am not completely sure. Still Mercedes ahead of Porsche. And the Porsche now getting closer and closer. Through 130R, Van Eyck going a little bit on the wide side of things. Getting a stop nice and easy for the chicane. Van Eyck trying to break the slipstream. Doing everything in their power to stay ahead. There's a left car ahead, which might be cause for any uphold. All 3 of them. Oh, the Aston Martin having a big slide. Oh, and then the Mercedes. Oh, and there's contact. And there's an incident between the Mercedes and the Porsche. And the Mercedes coming out far worse than any of the other cars. And that's a real annoyance for Van Eyck after fighting so hard, trying to get past Turney again, staying ahead of Morrow, and now dropping down the place as Jordanov has pulled off to the side of the road again. All the way up the inside of Spoon. Almost looks like they spun out. As we have a drive-through for Paris in P12. Paris receiving a drive-through at the very start of lap number 43. So there's any hopes of a top 10 finish out of the window. 10 minutes to go. And right now it's looking fairly certain that it will be Gertz who's gonna take victory. As we have another yellow flag of Oliver. I think an 11-second gap between P1 and P2 will be somewhat set in stone what the final result will be, and as well a over 15-second gap behind to P3 also tells the tale. Still top 3 being very quick, although Cabra's not that far behind with only 9 seconds behind Weatherston. In theory that could still become something, although it will be very difficult. As I believe we just had a disconnect. I think Venter is experiencing some connection issues. That would be a shame this late on in the race, as Paris has now completed the drive-through. As I think it will be 4 laps to go, including this one. It will be pretty much timed perfectly. I think Venter definitely has some issues in terms of connectivity. If you don't believe in witchcraft, you might do right now. As that is not normal behavior, and that is massive speeding through the pit lane for Venter. Not engaging the pit limiter, or I hope it was some connection issue. As that doesn't really look quite alright. Scanlon and Zangar is still very much closely together. Scanlon 3/10 quicker on that last lap. 1 second now the gap between Scanlon and Zangari. As Vente has indeed received a stop and go penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Turney and Morrow only half a second away from one another. I don't really think that Cabras will catch up to Weatherston in time. Hammerlund maybe with a late charge could nick P6 away from Freivogel. But that will be a close one, I think. Aizen and Dundas only 1 second apart for P18. Journey going quite wide on the exit of 130R. Although Turney a second slower on that last lap compared to Morrow. Oh, and again a very big slide from the rear of the car. I mean, drifting through turns 1, 2 at Suzuka is very satisfying if you pull it off. Although in a race, maybe not. The first sector is really nice to drift through. I must say it's like nearly made for drifting. And then you cut right here, and then you end up at the start-finish straight again. That's the drift or national layout or drift layout, whatever they call it in the days. "14 seconds now the gap to Gertz. I think Gertz got this one covered pretty well. It's Weatherston, oh, not Weatherston, sorry. What was it again? Someone completed their stop go. As Hammerlund now on the attack on Freivogel, so there is a chance for an overtake for P6. But Freivogel trying to defend it very nicely. Oh, and there's a touch. There is a touch between the two of them. Who was at fault there? It's a tough one to call really now, being this live in the race with only one more lap to go after this one. Will Hammerlund give back the position? I don't think, otherwise he would have done it already by now. Good, starting the final lap now.
Leaders on final lap now.
Van Eyck now trying to hold off Popov behind. I don't think they will get lapped by Gertz, so it will mean that there will be another lap after they finish this one. So hopefully for Van Eyck they will be lapped, although I'm not sure that Gertz will be able to close up that much over the course of half a lap right now. And I don't think he will take the chances to do so either. Zangari, Scanlon, very close to one another, as they have been for the majority of the race. But we need to put our focus to this man, Gertz. Coming across 130R for the final time. 84 or 48 laps in the end it was. Through the final chicane, powering it out through the final corner and on to the main straight for the final time. Already swerving left, right and center. Gertz wins round number 8. The 100 minutes of Suzuka. And that by quite a margin over BX Royal, who comes up to the finish line right now and takes second place. Also very well done to BX Royal. Weatherston is next across the line to make it P3. Just as the top 3 started, they have finished. Very well done. It will be Cabras, then Overtaker, and then Hammerlund across the line to take P6, and Freivogel just behind in P7. Popov seemingly have made a mistake. They're now over 3 seconds behind Van Eyck all of a sudden. Maybe they didn't account for the extra lap and are now scrambling for fuel, which is a realistic possibility. As everyone else is finishing right now, Morrow will finish ahead of Turney. It's so easy to lose track of who is where and who finishes where. All I know is that Van Eyck will come across the line right now, and Popov will be the last one to finish, as I think they were really struggling for fuel on that last lap, costing a handful of seconds, but they come across the line and finish off this 100 minutes of Suzuka in P15, the last car not to be lapped. So quickly gonna save the replay before that stuff happens. It has been saved now, so that's only the short replay. Who cares? Don't think there was really anything else to really go over. As we take a look at the finishing order, it is Gertz from BX Royal, then it's Weatherston. Cabras finishes in P4 with Overtaker taking a P5 finish. Then was Hammerlund with Freivogel, Scanlon, Zangari and Titchell making up the top 10. Morrow just finishing outside of the top 10 in 11th place with Turney, Paris, Van Eyck and Popov making up the top 15. Then this Thorn, Warrior, Zandis, Asen, O'Leary, Caraballo, Fitzpatrick, Venter, Jordanov, Oliver, Winters, Maurer and Bayliss, who make up the remainder of the list. Then we take a quick look at the individual standings with the overall category, of course, going to Gertz. Then the silver category going to tourney with Warrior and Dundies making up that podium. And then we have for the first time an interviewer or someone who would like to be interviewed. There we go. How are you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Winning the race is pretty nice for me.
You could say that, I'm sure. So you were starting on pole position um, on the inside line, and all of a sudden BX Royal just flies around the outside. What was going through your mind right then?
Yeah, I think the Ford is just very bad at the start. Uh, and nothing I could really do there at the start. So, but I knew I had some pace that I could recover, and I think I don't know which lap it was. A couple laps, and I caught up to him and could overtake him also in the first corner. But yeah, it was little bit frustrating because the Ford always is usually always the slowest car on the start, so you almost always lose it there.
Yeah, I believe it was on lap number 5 that you managed to get past again. You
Yeah,
guys, like the top three, were just running away at the start of the race.
yeah,
Especially you and BX Royal were like constantly just hammering down the lap times, 2 minute zeros all the way around. Um, yeah, just crazy pace. I'm not even sure that I could do that in the qualifying, let alone in the race. But yeah, it was a really strong outing there. What do you think was actually from yourself or maybe from another car, like one of the more significant moments in the race?
few moments I didn't really have much moments with any cars. So I mean there was the battle with BX Royal, of course.
Yeah,
That was really nice. No contact was there overall. The backmarkers always, I had no problems with them. They always, yeah, made made way for me and never any problems. In the last lap, I also had a Porsche right in front of me, and I actually didn't want to overtake him because he had still chances to get, yeah, with one lap more, he could have gotten the position in front of me. But then he drove to the side and he
yeah,
couldn't do much, really much. Yeah, but more I can't say anything about the other
yeah.
cars really much.
Yeah, I do have to say the opening lap was really clean from all the drivers. Um, so yeah, props to that.
Go, go, go.
Also throughout the
Yeah,
race,
definitely.
there were some uh, incidents between cars, but really only minor incidents. No, but
Yeah, for me, it
very
seemed
well
like a pretty
done
clean
to
race.
you.
Pretty clean
Yeah, definitely.
overall. Yeah,
Well, thank you very much for your time and enjoy the remainder of your evening.
thank you very much.
And good luck next week with the final round being round number 3, but we will gloss over that being at Valencia. How are you looking forward to that one?
Uh, I hope for a similar result as this week, of course, but I will see. Didn't drive much on Valencia and Mustang, so I'm, yeah, I will get surprised, I think.
Well, that's always something to look forward to. Thank
Yeah,
you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening and hopefully
yeah, you too.
see you next week and good luck.
Hopefully. Thank you. Goodbye.
So, a nice interview with the race winner. Great to hear their perspective. Um, great to hear also from the start, especially. Getting overtaken around the outside is never really something you would want to happen to you, especially not when you're starting from pole position. That could be a very crucial mistake already so early on in the race. But anyway, I think it is time to end. And or is it? Let me quickly take a look. No, it is not. I am just about to get another one in. And there we have Journey. Congratulations, mate, on the win in silver class.
Cheers, buddy. Was tough.
Yeah, I could
Tough
imagine
race.
so, especially your battle throughout the race with the Mercedes of Van Eyck. You guys seemingly had a lovely scrap there.
Yeah, he put Pilot under pressure, but and then he had a little mistake when Morrow got involved, so yeah, and I managed to avoid it. So happy
Yeah,
days.
it seems from your perspective, especially seeing the Mercedes and the Porsche both really banging doors, you getting through unscathed.
Yeah.
In the end, not able to overtake Moro again.
No,
But
he's a bit
still,
he's out of my league. He's,
yeah, he
he's
had a stop and go 30 seconds after his mandatory pit stop after
he
getting on
got
the
that
brakes
speeding.
way too late going
Ah,
into the pit lane. So that was a real shame for them. But
and it was
anyway,
unlucky. It was a good little battle.
it was a good little battle, and that's what it's all about.
And
From
I'm
your
just
side,
happy I beat Andy Winters, so I'm happy.
yeah, he had a tough race today. I think you are quite pleased with that on a personal level with them. Don't know what your history is with Winters, but
It's just nice to have a bit of banter with him.
yeah, with Winters, there's always reason to have some banter.
Always.
But
So yeah, it was a good race. It was sweaty. It was slippy.
yeah,
The grip was poor, and it was long,
yeah,
but it was
that's
good.
what Suzuka gives you. But what
Yeah,
what was like a real special moment for you in this race?
real special moment for me in this race. No, Jesus, I don't know.
You don't know. Well, of
I
course, you
think
just had a race.
my happiest moment was when I saw Ben get a stop and go. To be honest, as I am trying to beat him for the championship. So
Yeah, also,
unfortunate for Ben, but
yeah,
yeah,
Oliver also had quite a tough race tonight.
yeah, he was yellow a lot, but yeah, it
Yeah,
was good. It was good fun.
I was almost about to say, as a disclaimer, have a drinking game every time you see car 26 being yellow. You would not
That's hard.
survive the night.
That's hard.
That's a bit harsh, maybe. But yeah, anyway,
We go again.
we go again. One more race left to run.
Both
Uh,
championships on the line,
and
I think.
let's see, where do you end up right now? I think it will be pretty close.
It should be.
The points difference was only 5.5 points, so I think you definitely,
No, I was way more than that.
well,
We have it now. We have it now. Standings are
oh
out.
no, actually,
It was about 30.
the standings have been updated already. Sorry, I wasn't
Oh,
all
so
that
this is the
quick
new
already.
one.
So this is the new one. You are only
Oh,
five and
nice.
a half points behind.
Nice.
So it's all to play for in the last race.
And only nine in the other one, is there?
Come
9
again?
in gold. 9 in gold.
In gold, it is indeed only 9 points between
Yeah.
Weatherston and BX Royal, so that as well will be an interesting battle to look forward to.
Yeah, next week's all on the line.
We will see. Next week at Valencia, normal
Indeed.
60-minute race, championship
Thankfully.
decider in all categories. So it will be definitely worth the watch. Thank you for your time with the interview,
No better.
and
Pleasure. Thanks for the
good.
commentary.
Yeah, no worries. Good luck next week.
Everybody, catch you later.
Yes, and then to everyone else watching, thank you for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you a lot next week for the final round of the season, the showdown at Valencia. Until then, have a good one. Bye bye.